Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. All too often we find ourselves in the position where the shoemaker has the worst shoes. People who give the most do not always treat themselves with the same type of love. Well, we're stopping that foolishness right now through a conversation with Beautypreneur brand strategist Jamila Bannister. Welcome, Jamila. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks so much for having me on, DK.
Our pleasure, but I want to get in your business. Personal brands to beautypreneurs. Outline that journey for me, or was it an easy, just a split-second decision?
Well, sometimes they describe things like an overnight success. It took 8 years for overnight to happen. So I had always been in the area of branding and marketing and communications. But one of the things that I had done in 2014 is I trained in advanced makeup artistry. So I always had a love for the beauty industry. But it was only in 2021 I made the transition to focusing on beautypreneurs because the pandemic really did a number on the beauty industry. And many beautypreneurs were, and some still are, struggling to get themselves back to where they were pre 2020. And I realized, you know what, this is where I need to be. These are the people I need to serve because this is what I love and this is what I know. So it's like, passion and profession coming together. So it was the perfect combination.
And in terms of being able to operate professionally from a passion point, I think that is always a good kind of nexus. But speak to that person who has a passion but is afraid to jump out onto their own, be it their own line, or just saying, okay, well, this is what I want to do.
Well, so it's nice to be driven by passion. I compare it to almost being in love. It's a good feeling, but as a business owner, you really always want to think about how does my passion align with solving a problem that people have. That is where you start moving into the area of being a strategic thinker rather than somebody who is just driven by pure passion. Because after a while, those emotions run out. When things start to become hard and things start to become difficult, you ask yourself, why did I choose to do this thing? You always have to bring it back to the greater purpose of, there are people who need my help. And if I don't do this thing, there are people who I'm leaving out in the dust, people who are out there waiting for me, for somebody like me to help them out. So I always advise and I always tell people, always find the balance between the passion and the problem. You must find something to solve because if you're selling something that people don't need, then you don't have a business.
All right, well, let's get strategic with it. So I want you to itemize that process for me, please, in terms of like someone reaching out to you, saying, okay, well, they want a brand strategy, and then you helping them to create stuff like crafting a message, leading to a website and that launch. What does that look like? Because sometimes those little steps that lead to big things, we can get lost along the way. So what does that step look like in increments?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing I would do is that we would have a conversation and I would ask you about, what exactly do you want to achieve? Like, what does success look like to you? So I can get a sense of where your head is at, and that will give me a sense of whether that you are looking for something more short term, medium term, long term, or what you're trying to build. And then from there, I would then take a deep dive, do an audit so I could understand what you're working with, what assets you have, what strengths you have, get a deeper sense of what the people you're trying to reach. So I could understand where the gaps in your process are. So before I make any kind of recommendation, it's almost like being a doctor. Before you can make a diagnosis, you have to ask about the symptoms, you have to ask about all the things that may be showing up in the person before you could say, well, you have this problem or that problem, and I would recommend this solution to that problem. So first conversation, then audit, and from there we actually take what we find and develop a strategy for you, do the research, understand the markets, and then from there, once we have all the building blocks, what I consider the pillars of your brand, we take that and turn that into messaging that will actually power the marketing. So once you understand who you're speaking to, who you are, how you want to show up, You take that, craft it into messaging that will then show up in all of your ads, your social media, on your website, in your emails, so that you have one consistent voice, look, feel across different channels. And of course, then we turn that into a system that you can automate things so you don't have to be answering 1,000 DMs every day in your Instagram. You could actually have a system working for you so that you're not a slave to your business, because your business is supposed to work for you and not the other way around.
Now, I want to give you a piece of your own portion, Ms. Bannister. What does success look like for you in what it is you're doing at this point in time?
Well, success looks like for me, first of all, working only 2 days a week, right? Having freedom to do what I want for 5. My weekend is 5 days and my work week is 2 days. But more than that, it's really seeing transformation in the people that I work with. So it's not good enough, and there was a time where it was good enough to say, I helped this person. No, that's no longer good enough. What is going to be good and great is that people experience the transformation. So if you are a beautypreneur, you sell a beauty service, or more than that, you sell a beauty brand, and you're struggling to figure out, how do I even reach the people I want to reach? How do I get it out into the public? How do I attract more people? I am trying to sell this thing, but it seems as though nobody is biting. The fish just aren't biting. When we are finished, and when we have worked together for a period of time, because branding does take some time to really form itself, you should be saying, I completely understand now. Now I can work on my own. I'm not feeling confused and overwhelmed and stressed and frustrated because people just aren't getting it. I get them, they get me, and I'm seeing growth and development in myself and in my business.
And when you're doing that deep dive and that audit, what are some of the things that you look at that would help you give that diagnosis or that final advice to the person in terms of, do you want to create your own line, or do you want to use someone's products to provide the services that you're doing? What are some of those things that you look for?
Well, when we do an audit, what we look for consistency and visibility, for sure. We look for consistency in messaging, consistency in voice. So if you are talking discounts in one place, but the other place you're talking quality, it gets kind of confusing. Or I'm looking for how you show up and where you show up, who you're talking to, and understanding the things that drive your audience. So for example, recently I did a messaging session with someone who is selling a pretty medium to high tier product. But in her social media, she kept talking about their economical ways to achieve this and economical ways to achieve that. So I asked her, I said, but if you said that these people are earning this amount of money per year, why are you having an economical conversation with them? So immediately she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah, what you need to focus on, these people are willing to spend the money to achieve what they want to achieve. So just talk to them about the quality, the experience, the transformation. That is what they want to hear. They don't need discount codes, because that is not what is going to get them to make the purchase. They just want to know that their problem is being solved. So what we do is that we really look at an alignment with message, with visuals, and with outcomes for the customer. And of course, is the customer experience living up to the expectation that you're putting out there? But some people have an amazing product, they deliver an amazing service, but their branding just does not do justice to that, and vice versa. You may have great branding, you may put emphasis on all of the bells and whistles, but you haven't stopped to consider your customer experience. You may have tons of complaints or poor reviews, but you're not even looking back at those things. So that's what we look at to really understand what people need.
And definitely we want to continue this conversation with you, Jamila Bannister. When we return, we come back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with Jamila Bannister, brand strategist, the managing director of J. Bannister Branding. And one of the things that you said on the other side of the conversation, Jamila, was not being a slave to your brand. I want you to explain that a little bit, as well as what are some of the ways that a brand can work for you, because I saw you make mention of something called sales funnels. And I thought that was a little interesting. So unpack that for me, thanks.
Sure. So when I say not being a slave to your brand or not being a slave to your business, it's that, many times as business owners, and I know I've experienced this too, we are in a space where we are stuck behind our computers 14, 15 hours a day trying to make something happen in our business, right? And we may have left our 9 to 5 saying, I don't want to work for anybody, or I want to do this for myself. Or maybe you're a beautypreneur who may have graduated from cosmetology school and you suddenly found yourself now having to rent a chair and do people's hair all day, but the reality is when you have a business, it's supposed to work for you as opposed to you always working for it. But in order for that to happen, you need to be strategic about the way you set things up. And you also need to utilize technology to automate things so that you're not stuck doing administrative stuff or not stuck in one area so heavily that you just can't peel yourself away from it without your business kind of collapsing around you. So that's what I mean when I say, not wanting to be a slave to your business. And it also means understanding how to, and this is something very critical, managing the money in your business so you're not just one bad month away from completely closing, which is what a lot of beautypreneurs experience. A lot of business owners experience that as well. So it's important that you create systems in your business that allow you to be able to take a step back if you need to, and to set up the brand in a way that the brand isn't so reflective of you that if you walk away, the business has no personality. So you want to be able to establish those lines for sure. And when it comes to sales funnel, the funnel is really the automated system designed to help you close the sale. Now, when you operate online and you are running a business where you sell product, which is often the case with beautypreneurs, or you book appointments, also the case with beautypreneurs, you want to be able to set the system up in such a way that things that you don't have to manually do all the times, like taking bookings, answering questions in the DMs, and selling product, you don't have to. Technology has advanced to the point where it allows you to create a web page to do that, a system to do that, a booking center to do that. And you can focus on the area that your business needs you the most, which is where your expertise shines, whether it's just to package and send out your product and follow up with your customers if people are buying online, or if it's to service them, whether it's to do their makeup, their hair, a massage. So you shouldn't be doing tasks that are easily automated, easily mechanized, and that's what I mean, not being so tied to a business that if you want to take a vacation, everything goes down. It's just being smart and strategic about the way you set up your systems to provide the same customer experience without you having to basically lose your hair with stress.
And I really like this conversation, Jamila, because it ties into other ones that we've had previously, one with another business manager, one with a virtual assistant, and looking at ways that you can allow the main thing to be the main thing without letting everything fall off the wheels, as it were. And what I also appreciate about you specifically is that you have little nuggets, little pearls of wisdom on your digital spaces. And one of those is, as you market your beauty brand, you always want to find out ways to bring people into your world. And a lead magnet is the best way to do that. Expand that for me, please.
Sure. So a lead magnet really is something of value that you can create to give to people, that allows them to just get a taste of what it's like to work with you or to understand some of the things that you're doing. And it's usually something that people are willing to engage with you for. And that's a way that you can get people to basically hand over their email address so that you can continue the conversation. Because let's think about it. When you're looking to make a purchase, especially if it's somebody who you've never engaged with, you've never met them before, and let's say you come across their Instagram profile, you come across their website, you come across their Google My Business listing, and you read it and you like it, but you want to do a bit more investigation into who this person is and what this business is about. You may not buy at first, but you have to create the opportunity for that person to keep in conversation with you. And a lead magnet is the way that most people do that. So when a business just wants you to call them, a savvy business owner understands that everybody's not going to buy, but let me give them something that they can hold on to and read more about read more about this business and our services, so that when they are ready to make a decision, not only do they have that piece of information, but I now have their email address where I can continue to keep in touch with them, sending them nuggets, pearls, updates, sales, discount coupons. And remember, marketing is an exercise in memorization. You want people to always keep you top of mind. And in order for you to keep showing up, you have to get yourself in spaces where people are already present, right? And the device that everybody has, a phone. And most people have their email address connected to their phone. Send them something every now and then. But in order for you to be able to do that, you need to find a way for them to hand over that email address. And a valuable lead magnet is the way to do that. You know, and there are many ways you can do that. A free masterclass, a free download. I mean, I have a couple lead magnets. I have a 7-page document that lays out the blueprint for having a successful brand and marketing, that the systems that need to be built. You know, it's just something that people could read and get to know you more, or they can look at, or they could enjoy. It could be a quiz, it could be an ebook, it could be anything that gives value and allows the conversation to keep going.
And in the final 2 minutes that we have in this conversation, Ms. Bannister, one of the things, or two of the things I want to find out a little more in terms of those things that you do. Personality Magazine, the lipstick effect. What are they about? And how do they help function in terms of like dropping these pearls and engaging individuals?
Oh, absolutely. So Personality Magazine is it was the diamond in my media crown, as I call it, you know, because media really is a great way to reach people, as you would know, Dike. And so Personality Magazine is a magazine that started as a personal branding magazine, where we would have told the stories of notable entrepreneurs and people who we felt were doing a great job in getting themselves out there. But as I transitioned to focusing 100% on beautypreneurs, the magazine is now the only one like it in Trinidad and Tobago, as far as I know, that focuses exclusively on the beauty industry. So what we do is that we write articles that give people advice on how to get themselves out there now, how to market, how to brand. We highlight brands that we like, brands that are emerging. We tell stories of beautypreneurs that we think people could take example from, and who could really serve to inspire other beautypreneurs. And it really is a nice hub where people can learn, where people can be inspired by stories, and where brands can always also get some sort of recognition. And we want to be able to be that media hub. And the Lipstick Effect is a live streaming show I host every Tuesday night on my own social media, my LinkedIn and my Facebook, where I interview beauty brand owners, and we just talk to them about their marketing journey and how they manage to get their brand out into the market. And the nuggets that they drop always valuable, and it helps people see, oh, these are ways I can market my beauty brand. I could get myself out into the market, and just hear their story and just be inspired. So yeah.
And I'm glad that we've been showing your social media handles so that people can go, engage, and avail themselves of all the information that you are sharing, and possibly have a deeper conversation. So we want to thank you very much, Jamila Bannister, for having us think of these things in a slightly different way, hopefully more effective, one that positively affects us in everything that we're doing. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you for joining us.